My husband, Oliver, told me that if I didn't want to stay at home with him and his parents, we could easily divorce. He said it with a coldness that paralyzed me. My mind filled with doubts and fears. I couldn't understand how our marriage had reached this point. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more engaging stories like this. I was aware that Oliver, being an only child, felt obliged to take care of his parents, but his words took me by surprise. I wasn't against living with them, but the constant unreasonable demands and overbearing behavior of Oliver and his parents, Vicky and Charles, had pushed me to the limit. He had been raised with too much love, spoiled to the point that, even as a child, he got everything he wanted. When he was at university, his parents bought him a bed that cost as much as a car. He complained that his was too uncomfortable. Even after marriage, they kept interfering in our lives with absurd demands. Once, I bought some chicken to save money since we were short of money. Vicky looked at me with disappointment and said, "Dear, Oliver is complaining that your cooking isn't tasty. Why do you only prepare chicken? Try to cook something better every now and then." When I cooked a pork steak, Charles commented, "But why don't you cook a beef steak? Oliver works hard. He deserves better." Every time I saw my in-laws, I felt pressured. I had grown up with my father, Loris, a man who had always supported me without asking for anything in return. He always told me, "Lillian, don't worry about me. You already have enough problems with your in-laws." My father's death affected me deeply. His friend Andrew revealed to me that he had been suffering from cancer for years and that he had hidden everything so as not to be a burden to me. Thinking about how much he had suffered in silence made me burst into tears. At the funeral, Vicky and Charles, instead of showing compassion, insinuated that they might get sick and die alone if I didn't take care of them. When I returned home, I discovered that my father had bequeathed me a large piece of land in Tuscany. Andrew handed me the will saying, "This land is an opportunity. Use it wisely." When Oliver found out, his eyes shone with excitement. "What do you think about building a semi-detached house here and living with my parents?" I was shocked. "It's too early to decide," I replied, but he insisted, "There is no need to think. It is a decision that must be made quickly." From that moment on, I tried to talk to him about it several times, but each time he replied firmly, "We're building a two-family house." And so, while I tried to process my father's death, Oliver made decisions without caring about me. After 6 months, a shocking phone call changed everything. Meanwhile, if you liked the video, it would be kind of you to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. 1,000 thanks. One day I received a call from a construction company. The house we had ordered was nearing completion. I was amazed. "Which house?" I asked. They informed me that the order had been placed 6 months earlier, exactly the period in which Oliver had started talking to me about the land. I called him immediately. "Did you build a house on my land?" I asked furiously. He replied coldly, "You were taking too long to decide, so I decided for you." His selfishness was unbearable. Not only had he ignored my opinions, but he had also decided to use the land I had inherited, without my consent. It was clear that Oliver had no intention of respecting my wishes. I was devastated, my heart broken into 1,000 pieces, every beat a reminder of the trust betrayed. My mind was a whirlwind of pain and confusion, but in that chaos, a light of hope lit up. Andrew. I remembered his words at my father's funeral. his reassuring presence in such a dark moment. I called him. Andrew listened to me patiently. His calm and firm tone offered me a safe refuge. Gently and firmly, he advised me not to give in. "Lillian, you have to fight for what is yours," he said. His words resonated like an anchor for me to hold on to in the midst of that emotional storm. I decided to take legal action, a difficult but necessary choice to defend my father's legacy and memory. The preparation was exhausting. Every document, every piece of evidence, every detail was examined meticulously. The will was my most powerful weapon, proof that the land had been left exclusively to me. The fear of facing Oliver in court gripped me, but the thought of my father's smile gave me the strength to carry on. When we finally found ourselves in the courtroom, the tension was palpable. Oliver avoided my gaze, but I stared at him with determination. With the support of the will, my lawyer proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the land rightfully belonged to me and that Oliver had acted without my consent, violating not only my trust, but also the law. The judge's decision was a hammer blow that resonated in the room like an echo of justice. Oliver and his parents had to accept the reality. They had lost. I felt a mixture of relief and triumph. Finally, the land that my father had left me was safe, and with it, the respect for his memory. And so the first step towards my rebirth was taken. When he received the legal notice, Oliver tried to reconcile, but it was too late. "I still love you. Let's get back together," he told me. "I don't believe you anymore," I replied. "After everything you put me through, there is no room for forgiveness anymore." Eventually, Oliver and his parents were forced to demolish the house and move into a dilapidated apartment. Their lives changed dramatically. Oliver had to find a second job, while Vicky and Charles adapted to menial jobs to survive. Every month, they paid me compensation for the damage caused. I managed to have the house demolished and regain possession of the land. I built a new villa, which now guarantees me a stable income thanks to rent. In the end, I felt no pity for Oliver and his family. They had tried to take advantage of me and the land my father had left me. My strength and determination allowed me to overcome this test, and justice triumphed. And you, how would you have reacted if you had found yourself in my situation?